Hello, I'm Gary Simon, President and Founder of Great Transition Strategies. Today's topic, culture and its effect on retention or attrition in your organization. Did you know that toxic culture was the #1 predictor of individuals resigning during the Great Resignation? Great Resignation is that time period where all those folks left the workforce due to COVID or during the COVID pandemic. Wow. Interesting. Gary, where are you getting that data? I was introduced to a podcast by Brene Brown where she had two guests on there, Donald and Charles Sull, father and son team, who published a couple articles in the MIT Sloan Management Review. They did research to try and answer the question, why did so many people resign? What were the factors? And they came up with a toxic culture was the top one. Okay, what were the other ones? Well, the other ones, first, toxic culture. Job security was #2. Working in an organization of high innovation was #3. I found that one to be pretty interesting. Failure to recognize performance, #4, and a poor COVID response was #5. All right, so how closely grouped do you think all those things were? Toxic culture, so if you compare, and actually their baseline for comparison was compensation. So if you think, okay, I'm not being compensated right, how likely is that to predict I'm going to leave? That was the baseline. Toxic culture was 10.4 times more reliable of a predictor of people leaving than compensation. 10.4 more times. That's phenomenal. What was the next? The next one I said was unsure, unstable, job, whether you're going to be job security. 3.5. Working in a highly innovative industry, highly innovative organization because of the stress that takes, because you're working long hours, lots of stress, staying up with it. 3.2. So those numbers, look at the difference of those numbers. So toxic culture is far and away the biggest. So the next question that comes to mind is, okay, what's a toxic culture? Second article digs into detail on what is a toxic culture. And the toxic culture has 5 elements. And those 5 elements, #1 is a non-inclusive environment. Folks do not feel welcome at the environment. Second part of that, disrespected. People feel like they've been disrespected in the organization. #3, unethical behavior goes on in the organization. #4, a cutthroat feeling where people will cut others down, and not only must I succeed, but you must also fail. Folks work against others in the organization. And we know there's some industries that have that kind of mentality. And the last one is an abusive boss, abusive leader, abusive manager. Okay. You might say, well, I don't have a problem in my organization. Well, maybe not. Think about your organization. We worked on this a number of times in a number of other videos. You go back, have a whole series on culture, which now we're going to continue to dig. We're going to dig deeper in this. This is a big picture overview of these 2 articles and the research. All right, let me give you one more as I wrap up the big picture overview of this. What can you do tomorrow? Because really, you can't change a culture like that. It takes a little time to change it, and you got to do research. You got to get some data to do that. And you might have, overall, your organization might be great, but there might be a pocket of toxic culture that you need. There might be a department, there might be a branch, there's something you need to do to fix that. But what can you do tomorrow? If you go in tomorrow, what can you do to retain people? Here's what the research bore out. They came up with 4 elements. And I was pretty surprised at these elements on how simple they could be, because you could do something about these tomorrow. #1, lateral moves. So it's people want to make progress without necessarily being promoted. So lateral moves with folks. All right? Grow them. And if you think about, we'll talk more about millennials and their thought processes and how they want to be developed. #2, remote work opportunities. No surprise there. I'm sure you're seeing that in your organization. Next, company social events. The ability to have company social events. This is what people are looking for. And then the last one is predictable schedules, particularly in the blue collar. If you have a blue collar workforce on the line, people want predictable schedules. Big picture overview. So here you have it. Toxic culture, the #1 predictor of attrition in an organization. So we're going to talk more about culture and how you can make sure you don't have any of these issues going on in your organization. Thanks for listening. I will look forward to an opportunity to work with you and help you put the right culture in place in your organization.